All right, college football fans, we need you to help us out on this one. We're talking to bloggers across the country, talking about those best wins in program history since they've been a college football fan and the worst losses, the crushing, excruciating losses. And this is usually the one that really hits home with people because it's easy to dismiss the wins, but the losses kind of stay with us a little bit longer. So we invite you to comment, and we bring in Ben Cantor of the UConn blog on SB Nation. Hey, Ben, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So we've talked about the wins, the good times, especially getting to that Fiesta Bowl and the string of wins that UConn ran off to get to the BCS. Now we're going to talk about the losses. I know there's been a lot in the last few years, but doesn't necessarily mean those are the ones that hit home with you. So run us through those losses that you still can't forget.
Right. So the many losses of the past 3 years have kind of made them a little bit less painful, in fact. But in the past year, we opened the season losing to FCS opponent Towson, which was unfortunate. And though that after going 0-9 in the next 9 games, it made that one not as painful. But and then we lost by 3 points to Michigan this past season, which was tough to see that one slip away. But the three ones that hit home the most is in 2006 we were playing a ranked Rutgers team. It was Rutgers. It was their best season. They had I think it was their best season they've had to this point. They were ranked 15th. It was Ray Rice's junior campaign before he left early, I think, and this was Donald Brown's breakout game where he became my favorite player. I'll never forget it, and it was my first heartbreak as a UConn fan. Yeah, I was 13, and so Donald Brown had 199 yards and 2 touchdowns. We bottled up Ray Rice for under 70 yards, and we end up losing the game by 10. Just like let it slip away, and yeah, that one still hurts, but And then Rutgers in 2009 might be the most painful for all UConn fans. It was the homecoming after Jasper Howard's death, and that shook up the whole UConn nation. And then we ended up losing on it was a slant pass and then a missed tackle with 10 seconds to go. We were up I think three points. It was a slant pass, missed tackle, and the guy ran 80 yards for a touchdown. And as time expired, and the place just went silent. It was a pretty profound moment, and yeah, it was very emotional. And then in 2007, we had the chance to play for a BCS bowl. A lot of people forget about this. It was we ended up going to the Menke Car Care Bowl, which at the time was we still felt good about that, but it was only our second bowl of all time, so that was cool. But we had a chance to, in the last game of the year, it was an away game at West Virginia. They had it was one of Pat White's best years. We were playing. It was the last game of the year. Ended up being for the Big East championship. The loser still had a share, but the winner was going to a BCS bowl. We end up losing 66-21, and it just took the air out of us. We had all this momentum as the season was our best to date at that point, and yeah, that was kind of a reality check, pretty devastating. But but we got back, and what's funny is as a UConn fan, the bowl it's been about the ride, because the bowl games. The setup is so interesting that I feel like with the bowl games, it's not, if you lose that bowl game, it doesn't hurt nearly as much as those regular season losses, because when people remember who got to the bowl games and not necessarily who won those sometimes minor bowls and all that kind of stuff, but it's all about, like, we were never, that Oklahoma game doesn't hurt too hard because we never expected to win that, and just the fact that people remember us playing Oklahoma, and obviously Oklahoma winning, and we never expected that to happen. So that one doesn't hurt too much, and a couple other bowl losses don't hurt too much, but it was some of the other regular season ones that we let slip away that were tough.
Well, on occasion, those West Virginia teams in the mid 2000s to late 2000s were the class of the Big East Conference.
Oh yeah,
So there's no shame in losing to West Virginia. They went on to BCS games, and let's see, off the top of my head, they took it to Oklahoma one year. They took it to Georgia one year after the '05 season. They had some pretty decent BCS showings that represented the Big East rather well, when the Big East otherwise has not fared too well against the other major conferences at that time. So West Virginia really stood out. The rest of those years kind of are difficult for me to separate, because it just seemed like between UConn, Cincinnati, Pitt, and West Virginia, and maybe somebody else snuck in there from time to time, Rutgers, there were a lot of ties for championships. There were a lot of very, and because of the only seven conference games being played during that time, a lot of games that meant a whole lot near the end of those seasons, as you pointed out, where those teams are very close. A lot of 5-1, 4-2 teams playing that last weekend, where a lot of things could happen, and a lot of crazy scenarios during that stretch of time in the Big East.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It was there was only 8 teams in the conference. We were the smallest of the major 6 at the time. But in hindsight, looking back on these, every game against West Virginia owned us until right up till the end of the series, and it was too bad to see them go, because we were finally growing as a program and got to a point where we felt like we could put a finished product out there on the field, but now that they've all abandoned us, it hurts even deeper.
All right, Ben Cantor of the UConn blog on the SB Nation platform, writing for Connecticut Athletics. Hey, Ben, we appreciate your time and looking back and pointing out some of the big games in Big East history over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So we appreciate the time.
Thanks a lot. It's been fun.